Today is a very, very good day. We're going to be checking out the SNK VH300. So as many of you may know, I have demoed the SNK VHD on this channel, and I've had it in a bunch of other videos. I absolutely adore that pedal. It is based on the legendary death metal amp from the 90s, the Ampeg vh140c. Well, this amplifier, as you guessed, is a recreation of that long discontinued amplifier, and I am super stoked about it. Now, Scott from SNK, to give you a little bit of background, this is his baby. He adores the Ampeg vh140c, and he made it his mission to really accurately recreate that, both with the VHD pedal and of course with the VH300. So the VH300, as you'll notice, is quite a bit smaller. It's a very small amplifier, very light, but still plenty loud. As the name implies, it is 300 watts. That's only if you're running it at 4 ohms. I'm gonna be running it at 8 ohms, which is cutting it in half down to 150. But wait, I hear you cry. If you're gonna be running that into your 2-Notes Captor X like you always use, that only holds 100 watts, won't that be too much? Well, if I was absolutely diming this thing and running it super hard, yes, but it shouldn't be a problem. I already ran this by Scott. I'm keeping it at a fairly low level here. It's still plenty loud and it's keeping up with my tube amps, but I'm not getting anywhere near that 150 watts. I'm not even getting anywhere near probably 75 watts with the thing. And I do this as well with a couple of my amplifiers that are 120 watts, my PV6505 and my Angle Savage that I have behind me. And again, as long as you're not diming it, you're never going to get that full power. You're not running an amplifier at that full 120 watts, 150 watts, 300 watts all the time. That's just not how they work. So, you know, just keep that in mind. So let's go over the features real quick. It is a dead simple amplifier. You have a foot switch that goes between clean and dirty, although I don't know why you would ever want to use anything but that nasty high gain channel. And then it does have an effects loop, although just like on the original, the effects loop is in the front. So what I did, so I could just run cables in the back and it was less of a mess, is I bought a couple of extender cables that were, right angle, so I could just run those through to the back, and that seems to be working just fine. Both channels have, volume, gain, bass, mid, treble, and then there's global presence and resonance controls. Nothing super complicated, but man, does this thing sound good. So that is absolutely enough about gushing about the amplifier and talking about its features. Let's actually hear this thing inside and outside of a mix. I'm going to be plugging into this with my Aero 1000, my LTD, and I have that loaded with some Seymour Duncan blackouts, specifically the blackout metal in the bridge. I actually have a video coming out specifically on that pickup soon. And that's going to be going into my 2-Notes Captor X, like I said, which has a IR blend of my VM1265 and DV77 speakers. And we'll hear it outside of a mix on that same setup. But what I thought would be actually pretty cool, since I also have a VHD, is I'm going to plug that into the effects loop return, and we're going to hear how close the pedal gets to the amplifier. So let's check it out. absolutely disgusting solid state 90s filthy death metal chugs, and I am in love with it. I'm so glad I got to snag one of these. The first run of the amps, I had a really bad illness. I ended up going to the hospital and finding out that I had pneumonia, and I was pretty out of it. And when he put up pre-orders, I was still pretty out of it. And then when I finally came to and realized what was going on, they had all sold out. He'd only done like 30 or so. And so I really wanted to get in on this second run. So I'm very glad I was able to get one. This nails that tone, that 90s tone and feel. And it's just so good and so brutal. I'm actually going to be using this for a 90s kind of death metal project, like a little side project EP I wanted to put out under the name Zombie. That should be pretty fun. Still working on that. This is going to be the heart and soul of that album. It is going to be the core of all the tones. So I think this is going to work really nicely. The VHD really held its own too. As you could hear, it was pretty damn close. I felt like the VH300 was a little bit maybe tighter, more aggressive. But I mean, it wasn't a world of difference between them. And I was pretty cool to hear that he stayed really consistent with those and was able to get that super awesome VH140c sound in a pedal. And it just stacks up with his recreation of the amplifier. Honestly, I'd just be curious to know what you think, if you're interested in trying one of these out, or maybe this has sparked your interest to pick up a VHD. Let me know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. Stay metal.